For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back between the New England Nationals and the Supergrip Thunder Valley Nationals. We're headed to go back out again, but first we've got to catch up with the winners. We got a great show for you. Greg Anderson going to be on the show, Brittany Force going to be on the show, and J.R. Todd going to be on the show, getting the job done for the DHL Toyota. Big race, big win. They had their yearly Scott Coletta Tribute Lobster Fest and able to bring home a Wally in the same weekend. First win for Dickie Venables and Jono and JR all together. JR is just seconds away. I hear we're going to have some news about Gainesville Raceway and the dates for the Gator Nationals, like breaking any second, coming out of NHRA. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Jason Galvin will join us at the tail end of the show to recap everything that went down at New England. I'm surprised we got Saturday in, we got it in, and we had a great event on Sunday. So if you're a fan of NHRA, share the show, put a comment in the comment section, and we're going to talk about all that went down. Let's bring on our guest joining us now. He won Funny Car, J.R. Todd. What's up, J.R.? How are you?
Good, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Big win. Dickie comes over. You know, it's a process. You guys been telling us it's a process. We gotta, feel it out. I feel like it's working out. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, the runs that we strung together there on Sunday, I don't know the last time we've had a consistent GR Super like that. It's pretty remarkable. And, before the weekend even started, going into Epping, I told myself, like, Dickie has a pretty outstanding track record there with Hagen. They pretty much dominated that place. So I kind of thought, there might be a chance that we can go in there and run well, but at the same time knew, like, we're still in the learning, the working process of figuring this thing out. I mean, I thought we had a good car in Chicago after qualifying that was capable of going out there to compete for a win, and go out there and stumble first round. So it just, told us that we still had work to do. And sure enough, going there to New England, things worked out.
So I watched Dickie on the starting line in Chicago. I felt that way as well. Qualifying, you showed promise, and he looked just exasperated. Like, what the heck, the way it went down in Chicago. And honestly, in New England, it's real hard to study body language. There were a couple moments he came up and said a couple of funny things, but he looked really intense, like serious intense over there. Clearly it worked out in the end. What's it been like going through this process? I mean, I know he wants to win. You want to win. Jono, of course, wants to win, but that doesn't mean anything. It's got to happen. And now that it has happened, you can kind of reflect on it.
I think we've all known it was going to be a process and take a while to get to where we thought we needed to be or wanted to be with the performance of our car. And just the attitude of the crew guys has been different this year. When I say different, it's been, more positive. We struggled a lot over the last few seasons, not performing like we wanted. Once you win a championship, you expect to have yourselves to go out there and contend every year. And we weren't there after 2018. So I'm not saying the guys were down and out, just kind of a fresh breath of air this year with bringing Dickie in, and kind of changed the whole team morale. And everybody knew this was going to take a while with the changes that Dickie made to the car. And yeah, I mean, race by race, we're getting frustrated because we're not going out there and winning rounds and, in contention for wins. But, at the same time, told ourselves, all right, it's going to take some time. And like I said, Chicago, I thought, all right, we're turning the corner. Like, now's the time that we're going to make it happen. And then, Sunday goes out there and smokes the tires, and we were all pretty frustrated, especially Dickie. I mean, he said he stewed over that one for a while. Then we roll into Epping. And on Friday, the air conditions weren't that great compared to what they usually are there in Epping. You said it was similar to what the conditions were in Chicago. So we rolled it up there Q1 similar to the way it was there in Chicago, and kind of backed it off from E1 in Chicago. So that told us that, we were just tuned up and over center, and it went out there, and I think we ran 95. So that gave me confidence, like, hey, at least the car's responding to what Dickie is telling it, and he knows that we're not out in left field, and just kept picking away at it throughout the weekend. And Sunday, it's like a light switch flipped after qualifying.
So Saturday night in New England, since Englishtown is no longer on the schedule, has been the Scott Coletta Lobster Fest. Everyone gets, comes by the Coletta pit, and just the edge is off, and it's a tribute to Scott. And I know that, like, you never look past the final qualifying session, but everyone was kind of anticipating it. Like, hey, we got this day of qualifying in. That's unexpected. And Lobster Fest, everyone's going to have a steak and a lobster, and it's going to be cool. And you're halfway down the track, and that thing grenades in a big, big way. Take us through that. I know you're there to race first, but now the guys have got a ton of work, and, you got to get ready for race day. That was a real test of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I didn't think we were even going to get Saturday in with the rain that was all around us and the way the conditions were. And we go out there Q3 and, pretty hard tire shake. We missed it there. Then we roll up there at Q4 and we're next to go, and it starts raining. We get sent back to the pit area, and you're waiting around for, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour or so, drag it back up there and, hit the gas. The thing's running okay. Probably going to run another low 90, nothing spectacular. And I think it's before even half track, that thing blew up. Like, usually when they blow up like that, it's because it's spinning, dropping cylinders, whatever. Like, there's somewhat of a warning that it does that. And there's zero warning with that thing on Saturday. It went out there and broke an intake valve. And like I said, it happened pretty early in the run. And I'm glad that we got to make that run Q4 and that it wasn't E1 when something like that happened. But I always hate when, something like that happens, explosions, breaking parts, just creating extra work for the guys. And especially there on Saturday, like you said, we had the Eddie's Lobster Fest in honor of Scott Coletta. A lot of people thought the pit area would come over there and hang out and tell stories and, enjoy some good food and cocktails and what have you, just in honor of Scott. And, my guys, they didn't get to take part in that just because after the explosion, they had a pretty good fire. It burned up all the airlines and computer cables. So they had to field strip the car and, put all new lines and get it.
Uh-oh, we lost your audio, JR. Can you hear me? We have lost your audio. We cannot hear you. Oh, what a bummer. You could hear it like crap out.
It was a late
back.
Late night.
We lost you for a brief second, but now you are back. Just so you know, we lost, like, when you're talking about the airlines and field stripping the car and all of those things. Just back up like 20 seconds.
All right, that was because of Chad calling me.
Chad. Well, hey, Chad has permission. That's fine.
So yeah, we had to field strip the car, change all the airlines and computer cables. And, I was explaining to Loans earlier, like, that's something you would do over the off season, taking your time, make sure it's all set up and ready to go, then get to the track and start the thing up, early, just to make sure you don't have any leaks, and go out there and probably make like a checkout run, half track, whatever, just to make sure everything's all good. And like, no, that's something that they did in a handful of hours there, Saturday night. They were there till midnight. Didn't once bitch and moan about anything. I don't even think they ate dinner. They're back out there first thing Sunday morning. And the cool thing about it is we go fire it up for the warm-up, no leaks. Everything worked with the computer, all that. And that's just a testament of how good my guys are. I always say that I have the best guys, but I firmly believe, like, I have the best crew guys out there. And, that was kind of a win in itself. warming it up and not having any issues like that. So I was excited about that, and go up there and get ready for first round, and it was game on after that.
Yeah, confidence. That's like a confidence builder. Like, hey, we did it, and we were able to go out there and win the race. You know, the whole Scott Coletta thing and being able to deliver a win on that weekend. Big deal. I know you've been wanting to get in on the action with the dragsters running so good, and everybody's out there. Doug's winning championships and Sean's winning races. Now you're in on it, right? It's a cool deal. But that one in particular, because of the meeting, I never met Scott in a way other than as a fan from the grandstands, watching on TV, maybe seeing him at the ropes, that kind of deal. This guy has left a tremendous lasting legacy. Everybody's got a story. Everybody talks about him. His personality clearly very strong, in that it's almost like people are still motivated by Scott right now. Like they can hear his voice in their ear, like, you know, either busting chops or something. Can you speak on a little of that, in that, you know, winning the race had additional meaning?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime that we're able to win with that DHL funny car, it's always in Scott's honor. You know, his name is still on the car. It'll forever be his car, and I'm just the lucky one that gets to drive it and, you know, try to represent him the best that I can. And yeah, that was definitely a special race to win, just because of the Lobster Fest, which is in his honor. Like you said, we used to do it at Englishtown, which is where we lost Scott. And once that race went away, we moved it, and now we have it at Epping. And yeah, the dragsters, they've been hot, you know, all season long, even going back to last year. And that was a process, getting AJ and Brian up to speed, and now the results are showing. And, you know, yeah, you want to hold up your end on the funny card side, but like I said, we knew it was going to take a while with Dickie, and now I feel like we're creeping up to where we want to be. And yeah, just want to go out there and win for Scott, his family, for Connie, everything that they do. I mean, every car is special at Coletta Motorsports, but the DHL car definitely holds a special place with everybody, just because of what happened and it being Scott's car. And to do it there in Epping, to where, you know, Saturday night during the Lobster Fest, you know, we're hanging out in the DHL lounge, and there's a handful of you know, guys from other teams up there that you know, worked around Scott at Coletta Motorsports, and just hearing the stories. I mean, I've heard most of them, but there's a couple that I'd never heard before. It's just it's awesome to hear those, and it just brings back some great memories of Scott. We all miss him. I mean, he was a no nonsense badass guy, just like Connie, and that's kind of the attitude that we keep over there at Coletta Motorsports.
Yeah, it's in many ways like a deity personality for me. Like I hear Jono talk about it, Nikki talk about it, just the countless stories, the ones that I get to hear. And it's cool. I feel like we're at peak Coletta right now, maybe, with the way Doug now won a championship, Sean and Brian capable of winning. Now that you've won, I feel like Coletta Motorsports is, you know, it would be hard to say this is the best that they've ever been, but maybe it is. What's the attitude there? Is there confidence? I talked to Chad. You know, Chad can be angry about things sometimes. Chad seems like he's in a pretty good mood. Like everybody seems like pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I just missed a call from Chad a couple minutes ago, so I'll know if he's angry or not today. But no, I mean, Chad's the best. He does a lot behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, he's always you know, putting out fires and making things happen. He makes our lives easier for us at Coletta Motorsports. And yeah, I'd say that, you know, morale is high between all three cars. Yeah, I mean, the Coletta Air Dragster, they didn't have the weekend they wanted, but they got 2 wins under their belt. They're you know, in title contention. Dougie was out there hauling ass all weekend. I thought it was lining up for us to maybe have a shot at doubling up, which would be great to do with him, which we haven't done before. And yeah, I mean, on the funny car side, I don't want to say that we're where we want to be or need to be just because we want to race, but I think that there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel, and you know, we're getting a handle on things. The consistency is coming around. Now it's time to just finally tune things, and I definitely got to polish some things up in the driver's seat. I almost screwed it up bad there in the final, but it all worked out, and yeah, we're hoping we can just keep this train rolling and get all three cars, in title contention.
Well, you were up on the wheel big time against Cruiser. You're 59, which I feel like was great. And then the final round, I went back and watched. You're going up against Spencer. Tip of the cap to Spencer and Jim Head's team to go to the final round, and that's tough. Jim Head, he, like you said it right. He likes to go fast, so you got to go after him. But you guys staged it exactly what appeared to be exactly the same moment. Like boom, the stage bulbs are on, and then you're gone. And so, walk us through that final, because it looked like you had to drive. You said you were over at towards the wall. Looked like there was a lot going on there in the final.
Yeah, I mean, all season long, for whatever reason, so the tree, when the lights come on, it's a random variance, so it doesn't come on at the same time to keep people from guessing, which is a good thing. And it also makes drivers have discipline. And for whatever reason, like, I've been getting a lot of long trees, and I say that, I mean, it's could be 0.4 seconds before the light comes on, which seems like a minute. And when you're up there in the final round, I don't know what the time was that time. I haven't gone back and looked, but you're so keyed up and ready to go from that yellow light comes on that anything can trigger you ready to go. And like I said, if it's a few seconds, it seems like a few minutes, and I'm flinching. And when you do that, you pull back, the light comes on. It's like, oh man, like I'm dead late, and hit the gas and go. And I don't see Spencer out there. And the Epping track is kind of tricky. It's got some bumps in it that can shoot you one way or the other. And I know in the right lane, as you get further down track, it kind of wants you to pull you to the center line, which that it tried to happen to me in the semis against Alexis, so I had it cranked pretty good to the right, and I feel like I must have told myself in the final that drive it right, and I got it too far right, and I feel like I was up against the wall, which it might not have been as close as I thought it was, but just from the time I hit the gas to the time I got to the finish line was a complete catastrophe as a driver for me, but it worked out with the wind light coming on.
And you got the lobster chair. Let's see the photo of this. Look at this guy in this lobster chair. We did a little something fun on Friday night. It was out of the ordinary, but kind of cool. And you get to bring it home. You live in Florida. Perfect. I mean, it's not the same kind of lobsters, but I bet it'll work.
Yeah, anytime that we can get a special trophy outside of the Wally, it's all good. I mean, I was disappointed I didn't get to sit in it on Friday, but I'll trade Sunday for Friday any day. That's the day that really matters. But no, it's awesome that tracks like Epping and obviously Gainesville winning the Gator there. It's cool that more and more tracks are starting to get behind making it a specialty event and getting a special trophy to go along with that Wally. I'm not saying we need to get rid of the Wally trophy, but I love tracks have their own unique take on winning races.
Absolutely. Sonoma with the goblet, the ice cream scoop, the cowboy hat. I think we're a little more than half the tracks have got their own special thing. You got a buoy, right? A buoy. I don't know what you can do with a buoy. A nice little celebration. So before we turn to Bristol, I want to get your take on Bristol because I hear we've made some track updates, adjustments, grind it, maybe smooth it out. But I see you're wearing the Bell Helmets t-shirt. Just this morning, I saw Bell posted a new helmet that you're wearing. Really nice. Was that the first race in the new helmet, or did I just happen to see that?
No, they I think came by in Charlotte and did a photo shoot with my helmet and posted that this past week. So yeah, I've been with Bell since 2019, I think, and man, they've been a blessing. They provide, in my opinion, the safest helmets out there. The helmet that I wear is the exact same helmet that the F1 guys and the IndyCar guys are wearing, the same rating, and just gives you, I don't know, more comfort and confidence in the seat. So it's cool to have companies like that behind you. I mean, they're a worldwide recognized company. I mean, that helmet comes from Bahrain, like I said, just like the IndyCar and the F1 guys. So it's cool to see drag racing kind of on the same stage as those guys when it comes to safety equipment.
No, I agree. There's a lot of that going on, with Tony out there, Tony and Brittany in the final round. That's a great story. They should be paying attention. And I do like when the technology cross-pollinates, whether it be safety or otherwise, through all the big major motorsports. All right, so Bristol, what do you know about the track updates? I hear that they're constantly trying to make it a little smoother out there. It's one of those character tracks with a lot of bumps, but at some point that can become a little excessive. And so hopefully they've got it dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I mean, Bristol's one of the few places we go to that has tunnels under the track. I think it has 2 of them. And, over the years, the ground shifts and those tunnels create bumps. And as the years went on, they've created some big bumps. And yeah, I know that Kurt Johnson and his guys have gone there and kind of, smoothed out some of the bumps and grounded and kind of resurfaced it and whatever, put their magic touch on it. So hopefully it's a bit smoother. I mean, I'm not saying I hated it or loved it before, but I kind of liked it. It made it a driver's race. Once you got to half track, like you had to maneuver that thing and make sure you had it pointed in the right direction when you hit those bumps. And it seemed like the conditions, based on how they were, typically it's hot and nasty there with the weather. So you had to get that thing accelerating as hard as you can early in the run before you got to the bumps, and then kind of park it out there, just because you can't accelerate when things bouncing off the track like that. So I hope they got it fixed out to where we can put on a good show for the fans. And we've had a pretty good track record with the funny car the last few years there at Bristol. I haven't won, but we've been to some final rounds and have run well there. And I know that Dickie has done well there in the past. So hopefully we can put those two together, and it'd be a great place to go back to back. That's for sure.
Well, good luck. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. People in the audience wishing you congratulations. That's always big when you go out there and get the job done. I appreciate it. And back to back sounds great to me. Good luck, JR.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. There he goes, JR Todd, with us here on WFO Radio. It's a big win for Dickie Venables. The expectations were high, and now they've delivered. And I had a real nice conversation with John Oberhofer as well. Like, what's it been like for you, Jono? And he's like, just chemistry and adapting and all of those things. And so a big win for J.R. Todd. Looking at the point standings, Austin Prock out first round, continues to show the way, though, by 38 over Jack Beckman, who hit the wall, right? Like, what a wild race. Paul Lee is third, 78 back. Matt Hagan, fourth, 95 back. Ron Capps out first round, 171 back. J.R. sixth, 184 back. Chad Green, Alexis DeJoria, Cruz Pedregon, and Daniel Wilkerson rounding out the top 10. Bob Tasca, 11. Spencer Hyde goes to the final round, and he is 12th. Buddy Hall, Dave Richards, and Blake is 15th, first of the part-time cars. So funny car is going to be very tough. It's going to be brutal. We know this every year. We already know this when we roll out there, when funny car rolls out in the Mission Food Series. Nicole says the lobster chair is awesome. Lobster chair was awesome. So Brian Loans had a lot to do with that, like putting it together and wheeling and dealing. And honestly, the Friday night session wasn't that great. We had a lot of smoke. In fact, when the Life's a Drag guys do their show, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, it was in Eland Point. The lobster thing made what was a meh session entertaining and fun. Seeing Austin Prock deal with that lobster in his lap. And there was the clear concern the thing could, go rogue. That was fun. And seeing the drivers all just interact with it out of their comfort zone. I think that's really what it is. Like breaking the routine. Like the Wally is one of the greatest trophies in all of sport or motorsport. But in a way, since they are all the same minus the plaque, it's a bit of a routine. And so when you can do something different to break the routine, it is a big, big deal. And I love the fact that JR was into it and everybody was into it. All right, I'm looking for a little breaking news on NHRA.com. I ask you guys to share the show and see what we got to say. I know that there was an announcement supposedly about Gainesville and dates for the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals started at 1 o'clock. But we'll see. I'm not seeing it just yet. And so we will see what I can find on the Twitter. All right, not yet, but I'm excited. Before the end of the show, maybe we'll have that news for you. All right, when we come back, Brittany Force is going to join us. We're going to speak with Brittany, or we spoke with Brittany a little bit earlier today because she is traveling and in the mountains and all of that stuff is going on. So we're going to have Brittany Force next. I would love for you to share the show, share the interview with Brittany, because she is It's going to be really, really cool. We have had a lot of people help us out here on WFO Radio. And I want to tell you about HusseyPerformance.net. David Allen and the team at Hussey Performance, not just copper head gaskets anymore. They have worked strategically to find U.S.-based material, to source material to hold up to the heat, the chemicals, and everything that drag racers put them through. You can call David Allen and his team, 412-716-4872. Sorry, Daniel Wilkerson. But David Allen is letting anybody call him, apparently. They do the copper stuff, of course. They've got a contingency program and top alcohol dragster, top alcohol funny car, top dragster, and top sportsman in the NHRA. And that's for national events. And for the PDRA, top sportsman and top dragster. You can start your order on their website. You can call or email for a quick turnaround, oil, pan, valve cover. They do it all. HusseyPerformance.net. We appreciate those guys for supporting WFO Radio. And thank you, David Allen and the team. All right. When we come back, it's going to be Brittany Force following her big win, an emotional win out there at the New England Nationals. Stick around.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
And thank you to Total Seal for supporting WFO Radio. It is time to speak with our top fuel winner. She is the fastest thing on four wheels out there in the NHRA. Got the job done at the New England Nationals. She's out on the road. Brittany Force. Brittany, welcome back. How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. Should we tell them? Should we let them behind the curtain?
Yes. So our first round of this, I was trying something new. Our guys on the road have a gimbal, our social media team. So I decided to attempt it on my own. They told me if it goes into standby mode, it will flip upside down and reset. And it happened twice, I believe. Yes. So we're redoing this because fell off the table. Then I was holding the camera out here and my arm was starting to hurt from it. So I'm like, Joe, luckily it's you. Thank you, Joe. You'll let us redo this.
Well, thank you for even wanting to do it, right? Like after it's over, I'm like, it was good, by the way. It was good. It was fine. But it was imperfect. So you texted me, how was that? I was like, imperfect, but okay. And you're like, can we do it again? I was like, let's do it again. And we're doing it again. Perfect. And so it's got a whole... Well, thank you for wanting to, right? Like a lot of people would have just blown out the door. It's fine. But you wanted to do a good interview with the fans after this win. I like, that means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you. All right. Now we'll get back into it. This one's got a different vibe to it, right? We're going to cut straight to the mustard.
Because if this thing falls off the table again, I don't know. We'll have to go with it.
We'll see you in Bristol. That's what'll happen. But you and Tony Stewart in the final round. To me, that's the best story of the week. Like worlds colliding, NASCAR, IndyCar. The guy was just at the Indy 500 and he's got to run a force in the final round and he comes up 7,000 short. You ran 340 back to back. Like if you can't get into that on Fox, I don't know what we got for you then.
Oh, I know. I think that's so awesome. I think that is such a great show. It was a great drag race all day long. I mean, our car was running solid. We were running, high 60, 69, 68 all day long. We hit 340, over 340 twice in the semifinals and the finals. And then to line up with Tony Stewart, there was nothing more exciting about that. This team was pumped for it. I remember when we pulled up there looking into the stands and just the stands were packed at New England Dragway. And to know that Tony Stewart was in the lane next to us, pretty awesome.
Yeah, really well, great stories. And we're all trying to grow the sport and the big, like, what is the future for the TV contract? And can this sport continue to grow? And with stories like that, plus JR winning funny car, I think Greg and Erica in the final round of Pro Stock. I think we proved it this weekend, and it was packed. Like, how are you even moving around in the pits? I didn't even go out there because it was too crowded.
It was. There were a lot of fans. It was definitely packed. And something I mentioned earlier, actually, I mentioned it all weekend long, is something about New England. The fans they're one of my favorite group of fans. We go all over the country, and the fans in New England, Epping, New Hampshire, are some of the nicest fans I've ever met. I shared this a little. I am a memento person. I hang on to things. Little kid drew me this. It was on race day. He gave it to me, and I said, this will be my good luck charm. So hopefully we get the win. But I hang on to these things. Our girl in the staging lane, Sarah, wrote this up for me, and they're just special things that I hang on to. Takes me back to that track, that moment, what we accomplished that day. But I do want to say thank you to the fans for, hanging out all weekend, supporting NHRA Drag Racing and cheering us on.
Dealing with the weather. That was the tough thing. I didn't think Saturday, like a lot of people didn't think Saturday was even going to happen from jump. And we somehow got a full day in.
Yeah, I was surprised about that too. Coming into, New England in the past, we've had to finish up in Bristol. We couldn't get the full race in, and we're always worried of rain. And then they said, the rain's coming, and we did a full weekend of racing. We got all the runs in we needed, and it was awesome.
It really was. It really was such a great track. I know some people, car counts, getting there is a challenge, but everything that's worth having is challenging. And the fans they love drag racing. I want to say they love it more than anybody else, because Maple Grove is tough and there's a lot of really great races out there, but they really appreciate us going there. Friday night, the Lobster, you took some extra special time. You didn't win the Lobster, but it was a fun promotion. Those things are creepy. I'll be honest. It's just too much. But you got up close and personal with the Lobster.
Yes, I did. So when we got to the end of the track, was that Friday? Did you say it was Friday?
Yes.
So Friday night, and it's just an added bonus. It adds, something that makes, this weekend unique, having those lobsters down there, that lobster chair, the crates. It makes for a fun setup and something that really takes you back to, you remember that race because of that. So to be able to get out on the top end, they said, do you want to hold the Lobster? And my first concern, because all drag races are superstitious, I'm very superstitious. I'm like, is this going to jinx me? Because I didn't win the opportunity to hold the Lobster, and I really don't want to throw myself off. I'm very superstitious about things like that. And they said, no, we're done for the day. We're getting ready to load him up. Do you want to hold him? And I said, sure, I'll hold a Lobster. And I don't know what I was thinking, but when they pulled that thing out of that bucket and it was way bigger than I imagined, I instantly freaked out. It creeped me out. If I would have had gloves on, I would have been fine, picked it up all day long, no problems, but it definitely creeped me out. And I'm like, okay, suck it up. I grabbed onto the thing, called two of my crew guys that were in the car. They jumped out of the tow car, and we all got a picture with the big Lobster. I posted it on my Instagram. And again, it's just a fun moment, be able to have that. It didn't jinx us. It worked to our favor. So we ended up 4 wins on race day, turned on 4 win lights, and got the job done.
Yeah, it's just a fun thing. First of all, like we analyzed the session, and it wasn't that great of a session, right? Like people getting down and laying down the big performances that we would ultimately go on to see on Sunday. But because of the weirdness of the Lobster, like, I don't know if you got to see Austin Prock deal with it, but he was a comedy show.
I did
with the Lobster.
He was, yes, we were hearing it. We were listening in the tow car, and just he's one of the funniest people I know. And it just naturally comes out of him, the things that fly out of his mouth. He is funny. And then the photos, I think, were even better. Seeing the expression on his face when he's sitting there holding this Lobster. And the guy that handed it to us said the same thing to Austin. In case the tape comes undone, be careful of those claws. And my first thought was, well, what do you mean the tape's going to come? Isn't the tape on there for a reason to protect us? And now you're saying that, it may come off. So you could see that expression on his face in those photos, but it just makes for a fun weekend.
Whatever can make it more fun, added bonus. It was not a big deal. It was a tiny thing, but it just made it unique to New England. So this race, just looking at the round by round, thinking about what you did, I had some really great conversations with John Collins on the starting line, and he was puffed up because he was talking a little bit about the hot weather tune-up versus the cold weather tune-up that you guys had. The hot weather tune-up, your average speed was well over 339. You take down Clay, you take down Sean Reed, you take down Doug. Like, that is an incredible day. And then you go out there and beat Tony Stewart. 369, 369, 368, 369. That's the consistency that you've been looking for all this time.
Yes, consistency is key, and we've struggled, the last couple of years with that. And I think, we qualified. Our goal coming in this weekend was we wanted to qualify top 3. We were 5, so it was still a good position. And to be able to come out on race day and actually improve and then run just consistency, like we had just a bracket car all day long, to be able to run like that was a solid weekend for our car. We had a strong car, strong team, and it's just a special win to be able to see our performance like that and have that on race day, because in the past we've had it during qualifying, but we can't carry it over to race day. So to be able to carry that over and just have, solid win lights. That's David Grubnick, that's John Collins, that's all this team. And we've been working on it, not just this season, but, our last 2 seasons where we struggled. And I've said, we're turning a corner. We're going to find success earlier than we did last season, at the end of the season when we won in Las Vegas 2 in October. I knew it would come sooner. And to be able to get it done, I think this is the 6th race in or 7th race in of the season. We're in a good position.
Yeah, no, you definitely are. Like, point standings, Tony's got a bit of a lead. He's 71 ahead of Sean, but then Sean is 71 back, Antron's 89 back, Doug's 115 back, Justin's 178 back, you're 179 back. So it's very close right there in the middle. Then it's a bigger gap back to Steve Torrence. But any one of those cars, including Steve, is championship capable. It's about having consistency at the right time, which is the tail end of the season. And we're getting there. Now, you got a little emotional in the interview with Amanda. Just a spike of emotion. I talked to your dad on the starting line. This is the site of his last win. And all of that made a lot of sense. In fact, Jack crashed his car in his car. There was a lot of emotional moments over the course of that weekend, but it looked like you really wanted to win at the same track that your dad won the year before. And it kind of came to the surface in the interview.
We won. I mean, our team, our Monster Energy team, we want to win every single weekend, but there's some tracks, there's some places that there's a little more heart behind it. It's just a more meaningful of a win if you can get the job done. And coming into this weekend, it was an emotional win. I didn't think I'd get emotional down there, but I remember when I was, turning off the racetrack, I could already feel that I was getting emotional about it. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or just I've been out here longer, but it seems that these wins, I get more emotional as they come. I'm pretty sure I got emotional in the Las Vegas win last season, end of last season. But this one was really special because, last year when we were at this racetrack, I stood in my dad's winner circle. And, with my team's very big on when we get back to our pits, when we're done for the day, we have a team meeting. And there's been times where I've missed winner circles. I try to get up there, but our team meeting goes long and I've missed winner circles. But I was up there in his winner circle last year. My mom was here. It was, Epping, New Hampshire. Last season, we stood in his winner circle, and to, leave on that note and come into this season where now he's out here with all of our teams every single weekend behind my car, every single round, he's in a different position to be able to win. It was just, I wanted this one. I wanted this win for that. He won here. I wanted to do it. And I also believe that, things happen for a reason. Our win in Vegas last season, you couldn't have written that any better. His return to a racetrack after his wreck in Richmond and Austin, and I double up. Sometimes things are meant to be. And I believe coming into this weekend, I felt really good. I don't know if it was that. I don't know what it was, but there's some weekends where you just feel the energy, and I don't tell anybody. I don't say anything. I keep it to myself. I don't want to jinx it. But even my guys said it. They said Sunday morning, 2 of them, one had pointed out that the last time I won New England, the last time I won Epping, New Hampshire, we went on and won the championship. It was the start of our championship season where we started winning. And then the other guy said he woke up and he's always grumpy. He's not a morning person, very much like me. And he said he jumped out of bed. He was fired. He was waking the other guys up. We're going to the racetrack today. And they were like, who are you, in the tow car as they're heading out? And he's like, I just have a good feeling about today. So for whatever reason, in our pits, we all kind of felt that.
That is awesome. No, it's awesome to hear. That's how it should be. Look, we all love your dad, right? He's your dad. You love him like a child loves a father, but you have to share him with all of us. And I can't even imagine what it's like to go out there and compete and succeed and deliver for him like that. It's amazing. You don't get more emotional given all of that, like all that you're dealing with. You're doing a great job. Speaking of the team, you guys are going to go hang out. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So I'm in. So yesterday we left town super early, had a flight at 5 a.m. out of Epping. And then we drove, I'm down in the Nashville area, hanging out here for a day before I go to Bristol. And my team's coming straight from Epping. So this is a racetrack where we always try to spend some time together. And we're going boating. We're spending a day out on the lake tomorrow, which is really great because we're coming off a win. So I know the only thing we're going to be talking about is that win and every detail from the day. But it's our team. These crew guys, when you're away from home so often, they become your family. I've said that for years. They're my brothers, and I love these guys. And sometimes you need to get away from a racetrack, spend some time together and bond. So we're going to do just that on tomorrow. Take a boat out, spend the day on the lake, and just have a good time away from the racetrack.
And then Bristol, another legendary track. They've updated the track surface. This is one, here we go now. We're grooving a back-to-back. Next thing you know, we'll be hitting, Richmond and Norwalk, and then we'll be on the Western Swing. It's starting to happen fast.
Yeah. Yes, I love this part. I love when races start picking up. Beginning of the season, it feels like it always starts so slow, and it's like I want to build this momentum with my team. I love these back-to-back races. I love that we're going from Epping right into Bristol. It's just, especially now coming off a win, it's just that momentum carries over to the next one. And I was just in the seat, so to step out of the seat for just a few days and you get right back in. I'm very much routine, so I like doing that. I hate when we have 2 weeks off and you feel like when you get back out to the racetrack, you're starting over again. So I love going right into this next one. Bristol is, I know I have a lot of favorite tracks, but this really truly is one of my favorite tracks. It's so unique. The facility, it's just one of the most beautiful tracks on our circuit. I think it's just incredible. It pulls a unique crowd. It's just one of its own. It's one of a kind, and we want to win here. I love this. I love this area, and never won here before. So would love to win. Would love to carry our success, our performance over, and do it again this weekend.
That would shake things up back to back. That would shake things up big time.
Yeah.
Brittany, thank you so much for doing a take two.
This one,
it's been like a little more relaxed. I'm not a morning person either, Brittany. And so we had our practice run. We went through qualifying and eliminations. We did real well. Have fun on the boat. Say hi to the crew.
Thank you.
Good luck this weekend. And just amazing once again. Thank you for spending time on WFO.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thank you. There she goes, Brittany Force, with us here on WFO Radio. How great is that? 340 is normalized. It's happening on a regular basis. It's happening on back-to-back runs. And I don't think anybody even said the words 340. And yet it happened. So really exciting out there. Brittany Force doing a great job. And we have got more. Greg Anderson took down Erica Enders in the final round. What's better than that? I'm thinking about the Fox show, and I'm thinking about, I love our sport so much, guys. I do. I'm out there watching Erica and Greg, and they're burning out. And it's like, why don't more of the masses get it? What I get. And the answer is they're not as smart as I. No, I'm kidding. But, nuance and detail and all the little things about pro stock or about drag racing in general. We're this slice, a thin slice, but we can grow when the good things happen at the right times. And Tony Stewart and Brittany Force together in the final round on Fox, that is amazing to me. In fact, let's watch the NHRA on Fox final round called by Brian, Amanda with an interview with Brittany. Let's check it out.
Both cars are locked down. Header flames are up and down the drag strip. 369.4 and 340.39 miles an hour. Off the top rope comes Brittany Force for the win.
And as her team makes it up to the top, and on Friday, Brittany, you told us that a win was close, and after the semis, you told us that you wanted to get this win at the site of your father's victory last season. He just watched you win your 18th career Top Fuel Wally. Why are these wins different for you now?
This is just a big one. You know, his last win, the last time I stood in the winner's circle with him was here at this racetrack. So coming into this racetrack, I want to win here for him. So this win right here is dedicated to him. Everything he's done over the last year, it's been really tough, and we're so proud of him, and I'm just happy to have him out here with me. I need him out here with me. He's my biggest support system, and I want to say congratulations to this team right here behind me. This Monster Energy team, HendrickCars.com, Chevy, Cornwall Tools, Peak, and GRP. Thank you for standing by us. I knew we'd get back to this winner circle. I'm so proud of all these guys. David Grubnick, John Collins. We got back to the winner circle here in Epping. Woo!
Great job by Brittany Force and that whole team. And John Collins, he gave me some, like JC, you know, he's a deep thinker. He's not like wanting to do these starting line interviews. He does them because, you know, he's not forced to, but he does them because that's how you communicate with the team. And he was loose. He was loose. He was having fun. He was like, oh, this is fun. You know, running 340 every time down the racetrack. This is fun. And the Tony Stewart side of the thing. Let's talk Tony for a minute. Like, no joke. Tony Stewart is no joke. He's 049 on the tree, runs 72 on the track. You know, he won 69, 73, 71, 72. All right. So if they'd run 71 or he'd have been 40 on the tree, they'd win the race, 7th out. But he still made 5 consecutive final rounds. And he has been as good as it gets and getting better and extending his points lead. Wow. Who thought that was going to happen? So it's pretty amazing. And just like that, we head into Bristol. When we come back, we're going to hear from Greg Anderson about his final round with Erica and about the pack of pro stockers that are trying to chase him down. And I'm very excited to speak with Greg and the guy, you know, one of the best interviews in the business. So if you're a fan of pro stock, we ask you to share the show right now. So when we come back with Greg Anderson, but first I want to tell you about Bernie's Speed Shop, BURNYZZ.com, Bernie's. This is Josh Hart's home business, the mothership, 100,000 square feet in Ocala, Florida. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So beautiful that we can host a fan fest there at the start of the season. But really, they're a dealership in many ways, buying and selling on consignment. They've got a fleet. They've got an inventory of classic muscle cars, of exotic cars. Maybe you've got a car to sell that it's too good for Auto Trader. And no offense to Auto Trader, right? It's good for selling a regular car. But if you've got something that's a little special, you need someone that can put the special car with the audience that wants it. And that's what Josh does. That's what they do. Maybe you've got a car that's a classic and you know you need a qualified team to do a frame off restoration and make it perfect. That's what Bernie's does. They sell e-bikes. They use their square footage for 100 different great methods, but they do it all when it comes to raising and elevating automobiles. And so go to Bernie's.com, check out their social, follow their social, go to the website. Maybe you've got a car you're looking to sell. You can sell it on consignment there. Maybe you want to just sell it to them. They're looking for inventory. Bernie's Speed Shop. And Josh, they are, you know, I think they're turning the corner in Top Fuel. It was a tough weekend out there for upsets, guys. It was tough. It was a very tricky track surface. It was extremely grippy, very intense out there, especially on race day. And I think we saw that bite a lot of people. But you never get bit if you go to Bernie's. BURNYZZ.com. Check them out. It is Bernie's Speed Shop. All right, when we come back, it will be Greg Anderson time. We'll check in with GA about his big Pro Stock win, number 109.
Looking to replace your OEM diesel particulate filter or diesel oxidation catalyst? Look no further than DPF XFit, a complete line of aftermarket diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts designed as an exact fit OEM replacement with all makes coverage for light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks. With thousands of units in stock, we ship the same or next day, and be sure to check out our comprehensive reverse OEM lookup tool. Always new, never remanufactured. For more information, be sure to visit dpfxfit.com. That's dpfxfit.com.
Oh, that's right. We are back. How about Brittany? How about Greg Anderson getting the job done in Pro Stock? Let's bring him on now. GA, thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate you joining us on the show. 109 now, man. 109. Remember when you were backed up on 99 for a while?
Yeah, I do.
Right?
You know, all those big numbers, I got stuck on them all my career. I think I got stuck before getting 50. I got stuck before getting 75. Definitely got stuck before 97 and tying the professor. And now the floodgates have opened a little bit. But those big ones, they're hard to get, Joe. I'm not going to lie.
Don't worry. We don't carry around a board for 110, as far as I know.
Good. Don't.
Good. So let's, I mentioned the track was tricky out there, at least for the Nitro guys. The talk was that there was a lot of grip and you were having weak shake situations, pro stock cars reliant upon wheel speed. How did you guys handle that, right? Was it a challenge? Was it different? Was it good? What was it? I mean, that 46 tells me it was pretty good.
It was a challenge all weekend for us, Joe. And you know, it's absolutely nothing to hack on about that racetrack, but we struggle every you go there and you've got great air because it's sea level. And, you know, sometimes the sun's out and that starting line, the rubber kind of peels off it a little bit. And it's been a challenge every year we've been there. This year, completely different. No sunshine for 2 days straight. And all through qualifying, we struggled. I guess we tried to live too much on years past data and it just wasn't working for us. And in the opposite of that, the elite cars were making very, very high quality runs all through qualifying. They were making nice runs. And when I mean nice runs, I mean, you know, able to 60 foot real well and just make quality runs. That's where it's all set up, how you 60 foot with these cars. If you don't 60 foot, it's probably over. So they did a better job all through qualifying than we did with managing the racetrack and managing the race cars. And it kind of flipped a little bit on Sunday. We got a change in weather. The sun peaked out and it kind of became more like, you know, the Epping of other years, and we were able to live off that data a little more, and we did a better job. But yeah, it definitely took us 4 rounds, finding a way to survive 4 rounds to finally, you know, hit the nail on the head. And that final round, we definitely hit the bullseye on that one, and best run by far of the weekend. And it's all set up by that 60 foot, Joe, 100%. So crazy weekend, but sure worked out good for us. And I love racing up there. I love racing in New Hampshire. It reminds me so much of Minnesota, where I grew up. It's always cool up there. A lot of trees, a lot of greenery, you know, a lot of rolling hills. It feels like home. So I love going up there and racing.
Well, exactly. I understand how it, plus the lobster, right? Like plus Minnesota with lobster. You said something.
It's a one-time-a-year deal, and you wait for there. You know, no bother getting it down here in the South because it's just not as good.
Exactly. Before we move on, I want to talk about you round by round. Cody Coughlin. Right? Like big weekend for him, his first drag racing accolade. And he was excited about it. Kind of an introduction. He had the lobster, he's holding the lobster, all that stuff. But Cody Coughlin gave us a lot more meat on the Greg Anderson, Cody Coughlin relationship. Like in the media center, we could ask him like, hey man, the fam is over there. You're over here. People don't understand why. And he said, it has everything to do with, I've known Greg for a long time and we've been talking and like you made him feel comfortable is what he said. He said he gave it all to the relationship that you guys have.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of this deal, Joe. And I tell everybody a million times, there's not that much physical about drag racing. It's all in the head, all in the mind. It is a lot of mind game. And if you don't have your mind right, if you're not comfortable with what you're doing, if you're not comfortable with the people around you, you're not going to perform well, and you got to feel good about it. And we probably started off a little bit rocky because we just weren't giving him the race car that he needed to have. But as we worked on the race car, as the season's gone along, and he's hung in there, he's gotten better and better, and we've gotten better with the race car. And basically, this is the first weekend that we really, really put a first-class race car underneath him. And he did a great job with it, but it was all because, yeah, he feels good in the head. He's got confidence in us now. He tested the week before and spent time with the guys. And, you know, it's a snowball effect without a doubt. So he's, I think, going to have a good year. And he's definitely now, without a doubt, a legitimate win waiting to happen. He can get this deal done. He can drive a race car. And, you know, as long as he masters that mind game end of it, he's going to be able to win a race. So I'm looking forward to that day. It's going to be cool. And he's excited. We're excited. He's excited. The whole team's excited, Joe. We've got a lot of great race cars, a lot of great race car drivers. You know, if I drop the ball or Dallas Glenn drops the ball, we've got a lot of other great talent on this team that could and should win. So it's a feel good time right now at KB Titan, and knowing what we've got, the bench that we've got, the depth we've got, and knowing that we can contend every race we go to for a win.
All right, let's talk round by round. And that the first round, you got around Kenny Delco setting up the matchup against Dave. All right, it's WFO. I got to ask tough questions. Some have speculated, like, what happened to Dave? He's 18 on the tree. All of a sudden, he's coasting. He ran a 49 earlier. You want to address that?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what happened there. We made a monumental mistake, and it's almost embarrassing to even say what we did, but we forgot to turn on his air bottle before that run, and he was beating me. He was absolutely ahead of me, going to win the race, going to beat me without a doubt. I looked over, I saw him, he was ahead of me, and all of a sudden he disappeared, and I was as much shock as anybody else. And we got to the finish line, and I said, "What happened?" He said, "I think it blew up." And I said, "Oh, that's not good." So we got back to the pit, and nothing wrong with the engine, and we discovered that we forgot to turn his air bottle on. And our air bottle, the way our air bottle system works, it has to maintain at least a minimum of 120 pounds. It's a safety shutoff. If it gets below 120 pounds, it shuts the ignition of the car off. And there was enough bleed off apparently during the run that it just barely got below 120 pounds by, I guess it was fourth gear he was in, and it shut the ignition off. So a terrible break for him. Horrible. We feel horrible about it. And I'm certainly going to be the first to admit he was going to win that race. He was ahead of me. He had a better light. His car was going to run absolutely as fast as mine. He was getting the win lights. So it's just how crazy things can be and how much luck you got to have to win an event. But, in hindsight, without that mistake, he goes on to beat me. He probably goes on and wins the race. So that's Dave Conley, and he's certainly a dangerous driver.
Yes, he is. So again, not to belabor it, but this is where the sport is, right? People are looking for the conspiracies wherever they can find it.
I get it. I absolutely get it.
And maybe there have been in the past, right? So everybody's antenna is up. What I would say is like situational. Why now?
Yeah.
Why now?
I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. We never, ever, ever have here at KB manipulated the outcome of a race, and we certainly didn't there. That was a simple mistake. The gentleman that made the mistake feels horrible about it, but there's no sense pointing fingers or making a big stink about it. It's racing, and mistakes happen, and that will not happen again. I can guarantee you that. But the fix was not in. Dave Conley did as good a job as he could, and he was going to beat me without a doubt. And I got lucky. Simple as that. Just a mistake worked in my favor.
Thank you for addressing, and not thank you so much for addressing. There it is. And then if people, they want to believe, they don't want to believe, that's their business. Yeah. Who knows? Semifinals against Hartford. You and Hartford battled a couple of times in the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty. That's kind of fun whenever you guys go at it, but you were able to get around.
He certainly had my number in a Too Fast, Too Tasty. I think that's the at least second, if not third time he's whipped me in a Too Fast. So I got to figure out a better game plan on Saturdays. I got to eat something different on Saturday or something because he wears me out on Saturday. But we got a little revenge on Sunday and got the job done, made a real nice run. And like I say, it took us kind of 6 or 7 runs to really get a handle on the starting line there. And by semifinal, we did a pretty good job in a really quality run there and even better in the final. But timing is everything. You got to make the right run at the right time. And we certainly did against Matt. It was a great drag race. He left on me a little bit, and we ran just slightly quicker. We all know what he can run like. He can run low ET every run, and you saw what kind of lights he was cutting on Sunday. So I knew it was going to be a hell of a battle, and it was, but this one worked in our favor. So that's a good round.
And then the final against Erica. She's had a nightmare of a season to this point, admittedly, but they tested their 60-foot times. We're back. Mark Ingersoll is back. The team is like reconstituting. I don't want to do a negative example, but like the Terminator, right? Like coming back together after you think it's been vanquished. No, here they come again. And to me, thinking about the TV show, that's as epic as it gets, right? You got the red car on one side, you got the Hendrick cars on the other side, and you guys are going to battle it out. And they shook, you didn't, and you laid down the run of the weekend, like the one run that you liked. Yeah,
no doubt. And completely different mindset going up there to the final versus the mindset I've had every other race this year. It's somehow crazy enough. It's been Dallas and I every time up there. And yeah, I want to beat him bad. He wants to beat me bad, but we can live with it if the other one wins because it's still a KB Titan. And this is back like the good old days. It's life or death if you win or lose versus Elite. Same on their end. And they had a great weekend, Joe. They made a hell of a recovery. They ran great in qualifying. They flat made better quality runs than we did. And, if they would have won that race, obviously had a lot of momentum through the weekend and to make it to the final round and have a shot at winning. You know what? They can run like any given run. If they would have won that race, it would have been a big swing because that momentum-wise to them would have been huge. That would have basically told them they're all the way back. They can contend to win every race they go to again. And it was important to me to find a way to stop that momentum, at least for one weekend anyway. So, got lucky and we hit the bullseye and they missed on that one. But it's I've been telling everybody all along, it's not like they're going to go lay in the corner and lay down and take their medicine. They're going to fight. They're going to come back. They are. And it's going to be a challenge the rest of the way out. But I look forward to that. We've still got a great outfit here, and we're still capable of winning anytime we go out. To have them back in the fight, that's just going to make the class even better yet, just like it's always been. So looking forward to the rest of the year. Yeah, well, exactly. We have such great racing in pro stock, and I'm excited about it. Like this guy says, GA personifies what Smoke was referring to in the media center, freely expresses huge respect for his competitors. I don't know if you saw that, but Tony Stewart made a big deal about how much respect there is in drag racing and how it's not about tearing down your opponent. It's about there is just massive respect going on. And I think that what you just said is an example. Well, the respect is earned by everybody. There's a lot of talent out there, Joe. There's a lot of people that can drive the wheels off these race cars and can win races without a doubt. I've been beat by every single one of them many times and will again. And he knows that, he kind of got whipped the first year or so. And now he's, riding a hell of a good wave and he's doing a great job. But he still understands these guys that he's raced against for the last couple of years. They can whip him at any time. So you better give props to these guys. Otherwise, you look like kind of a fool sometimes. So, you can't get too carried away in your own success. You got to accept it and ride that wave when you can. But knowing at any time, it can turn on you. Before I ask you about Bristol, I had made a big deal about this 1-to-1 situation that came out in the rule book, right? That's odd. It's just kind of coming out of nowhere, and my phone blew up. First of all my friends want to know about pro stock. Nobody asks me about nitro cars as much as they love them, but they feel connected to pro stock. So when NHRA Racer drops a rules addendum about planetaries, and I get that. It's just, that's old technology. Get it out of the rule book. But the 1-to-1 final drive gear, I asked Dallas. He was like, no, I don't know what they're doing with that. I talked to some other drivers, so they're thinking that maybe some people might be playing around with underdrive or overdrive with the final drive gear. The tech department told me they just wanted to clarify it. What about that? What say you? Is that an area that people were thinking about? That is not something I've heard of for 10, 15 years, but obviously somebody's got it on their mind. And my guess is directed at us. That's possibly one of the scenarios they've come up with, for the possible advantage we had the first part of the year. And certainly not anything we've done. I have known for a long time that's not something you can do. And I'm sure it'd be worth doing, but it's certainly not something you can do and not like something you can pull off anyway. The tech department certainly looks at our runs pretty much every weekend. They look at our graphs and look at our runs. It would stick out like a sore thumb. So it's not something you could hide. So that was kind of a shock to me, but it's good. It's all good. It keeps everybody thinking and wondering and whatever. You got to do the best job you can with the way the rule book is written, and that's what we all try to do. And I certainly never try to skirt any rules. But if there is something that doesn't happen to be in a rule book, then I guess some people say, why not try it? But that is absolutely not anything we ever considered. Just, I guess, through experience of racing these cars for so darn long, I'm not sure there'd be any benefit there. So not something I ever looked into. I didn't even realize it wasn't in the rule book. I always thought it was and would be forever. So I guess one day you got to read a book. I don't even know where you get a rule book anymore. I haven't seen a rule book in probably 10 years. So right. I'm not quite sure what it says anymore. You got to scan the QR code and then you can get the rule book. You get access to the rule book. Now, you can order one online if you really want it, and they will show up and you can actually get a book. All right, Bristol. Hearing that they ground some more to smooth the track out. It's a character track. A lot of people like that. It makes it totally unique. So you really don't know what you're about to get into with Bristol. It's a new Bristol. Well, you know what you're going to get into, and hopefully it's just a few less bumps, because pretty much every year we go there, we get dents in the roof of our race car from our head bouncing off the roof, because it's definitely got a lot of moguls out there. It has a problem where you go over the tunnels that are under the track. There's two of them, and in a pro stock car, it seems to, I don't know why it is, because we have suspension, but it seems to be a heck of a battle. But that's going to be, it's probably not going to be smooth as glass, but it's going to be way better than it was. and it'll be a little bit different racetrack, but you're still going to have the same challenging weather and a little bit of altitude conditions and still the same characteristics of racetrack that we've always had there. Bristol's been, a favorite track to me because I won my very first race there back in 2001. It's where it all started for me, but it's at the same time been a challenge every year to race there. It's as I say, a little bit of altitude, Joe, and I love the racetracks that you can go to like Epping, where you have just crazy air, and you can go out there and you can run, record-setting times. That's what's fun to us. When we saw the weather conditions coming for Sunday, that's a pro stocker's dream. And it'll kind of be the opposite this weekend when you go to Bristol, because you just won't have that great air, and you kind of got to change a lot of stuff with your race car because the motor just doesn't make the same power. So it'd be a lot different story than last year, our last week. But, we certainly got plenty of data from racing there. But we probably can take the sponge between our helmet and the roof away, because we won't be bouncing off the roof this time.
Well, that is good. The desirable outcome. Greg, thank you very much. Congratulations on your win. 109. That's it's a very impressive number. The 6 championships, 109 wins. But I know you're thinking about the next one already. Thanks for taking a little time with us here on WFO Radio.
You're very welcome, Joe. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Absolutely. See you in a couple days.
Okay. Sounds good.
Greg Anderson with us here on WFO. Big win for Greg Anderson, and they have been dominant here at the start of the season. He and Dallas, and they're back and forth, but now, the red car climbing back into it. Erica Enders, remember a couple of years ago, came storming back up. So we just don't know what we're going to see. Choose your side, pick your favorite, but there's a great storyline out there in pro stock. Super excited. All right, Jason Galvin going to join us seconds from now. But first, I want to tell you about Marvin Rodak's coffeeandgrills.com, 817-924-6821. Roasting coffee from around the country. I know you like the vacuum-packed Folgers crystals. That's your thing. But maybe you should expand your coffee palate a little bit to something that is much better, cleaner, more powerful, and enjoyable. Call Marvin. He does hot sauces, he does spice rubs, he does grills, tools, tips, information, everything, but he's an all-around great guy. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin, tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio, and he'll be happy that you did. When we come back, we're going to connect with Jason Galvin and recap it all after this.
Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
And you can get Foggit at summitracingequipment.com, summitracingequipment.com. All right, let's bring him on. He called the action out there at New England Dragway. We had a great time, and we got it in. Most importantly, we got it in. Jason Galvin, what's up, Jason? Where you're muted? You're muted. He's muted.
I messed that up. I'm sorry. Yeah, there we go. You're right. We got it in. That was the most important part. We got it in.
That's why they kicked you off Life's a Drag.
Because I couldn't unmute my mic.
Yes. What do you think about that? The Life's a Drag guys are going to be doing their show 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on WFO. I think they had the biggest audience of their career last week, and it's kind of cool. You've been on the show 3 weeks in a row, Jason, here with me.
Oh yeah, no, it's becoming a regular thing now here, Joe. No, I love what Elon and J-Lo are doing with Life's a Drag. There, I had a chance to catch up on it. On the drive up to Epping out of Boston last week, and I'm looking forward to popping in every once in a while. We'll see. I don't know about tomorrow yet. I haven't looked at the schedule, but but we're definitely going to make some appearances on there.
Well, I'm hoping about myself as well. And the reference that I wanted to be like is, and this is maybe before your time, but Jason, there was once a show called Happy Days, and on Happy Days with the Fonz, Laverne, you understand that? Good. You're not that young, but Laverne and Shirley.
I am. Nick at Night, Joe. Nick at Night.
Okay, got it. Well, there was a spinoff, and they would occasionally appear on each other's shows, and I always thought it was great. So I hope to be on Life's a Drag at some point once they get it all dialed in. So I was looking for news on NHRA.com a little bit earlier. It is now out because every single person sent it to me. I don't know. I couldn't refresh what the challenge was. It was going through the pipes of the internet. But the Gator Nationals for the 75th anniversary season, the dates have been announced, the 5th through 8th of March. So the first week of March again, but maybe a little earlier, a couple of days earlier, I would say, for the Gator Nationals. But that's it, the start of NHRA 75.
Yeah, and look, we've been hammering the 75th anniversary of NHRA all year, right? At every event, and rightfully so. By the way, we made a lot of fun-loving jokes, I think, about the performance of you and I this weekend with renewals. Yes, look here, look, I have one as well. Well done, Joe, right there on our desks. I was told today the commemorative ticket add-on that record numbers in Epping. So kudos to you, Joe.
Thank you, and you as well,
Yes, it was good combination.
We got a cut, like we get to wet our beaks a little bit on that, like $1 a ticket. That's fine. No,
right.
No.
Let me talk to the powers that be about that. I'm sure that's going to go over well.
50 cents.
Yeah. Listen, we got a lot of this year left, and this year is shaping up to be fantastic. But the one thing NHRA always does really well, I feel like, is anniversaries and celebrations of history. And I think back to the 50th anniversary of NHRA, and I remember being a fan in the stands, right? As I'm sure you were as well, Joe. That was it was before you were part of the announce team full time, and just thinking like how cool it was, the job that they were doing. And I can still remember the 50th logo like I saw it 3 minutes ago. I could probably, if I was any good at sketching, could draw it out. And I remember being in Pomona and the celebrations with it for the Winter Nationals and the World Finals. So I can't wait. I think next year is going to be phenomenal. I love the Gainesville kickoff to the year. I know so many fans long for the Winter Nationals and Pomona. And I just think that the logistics of it makes so much sense. And also at this point, we've done it enough, 5 years now, that Gainesville feels right. It feels like the right spot to kick off the season.
I agree. This has been a bit of a point of contention with the West Coast fans, and I totally understand. Some want the Winter Nationals to go back to being the first race, and I get it. And there's pros and cons with everything, and we continue to hash it out. But this has been working. We've had these sellout dates at the start of seasons, and you want to start off NHRA 75 with a big sold out crowd and a packed house and an amazing deal. So I'm super excited about that. But let's get into the actual race. So we'll start with Pro Stock, since you just monitored Greg Anderson. I asked him about the Dave Connolly deal. There were a lot of people asking questions. That when people brought it up, and I believe Brian and Tony even brought it up on the broadcast, and I think that because Brian told me that. I just, why, right? Like, here we are, we're race 6 or 7. Now why? I don't know, but didn't really dive in that deep. Greg had an explanation, air bottle related. They didn't turn it on. It was a mistake. I take people at their word when they tell me that. Goes on to win the race, drops to 46 on people, really still the dominant car.
Yeah. And, it's another Pro Stock racer who I talked to before the semifinals when we had the delay after Jack Beckman's crash. I had them walk down to the starting line and, kind of just get a feeler for what people were thinking down there. And I had mentioned the Dave deal, and that was why was the same response that I got. And they were told right away by that race. They said, no, they forgot to turn the air bottle on. If you go look at the numbers, Dave was going to beat him. And he said, why? If you're going to throw a race, why now? And the comeback was, and I thought this was a good one. If anything, if KB was going to throw a race in any direction, wouldn't you throw the race in favor of Dave? Because Dave was earning points for Eric Latino, who is running for a world championship still. And Greg Anderson, listen, at this point, short of, the world changing the direction that it rotates on its axis, Greg Anderson is going to go into the playoff no worse than second in points, right? I mean, we're more than halfway through the regular season now, Joe. And Greg and Dallas Glenn are 2+ races up on everybody. I mean, Greg's closing in on having a 3-race lead at this point on everybody not named Dallas Glenn. So, I mean, at this point, and he's accumulating points in the Mission Challenge, and, Greg's in a good place. Eric Latino's 5th in points, right? And, Dave had an okay day for him, but, I mean, if anything, wouldn't you want to build that buffer? Eric's 5th in points, but he's only 3 rounds from getting knocked out of the top 10. Now, yes, if you run every event, you get into the countdown. But the point remains, I'd rather go into the countdown from 4th or 5th in points than 11th or 12th, wouldn't you? So I thought that was a good, kind of comeback and point that I hadn't even thought that deeply into it, Joe. Like you, I kind of hadn't put much thought into it. Because if you're going to, quote unquote, throw it one way or the other, And then that's like not even to mention the part, the Play NHRA part of this, right? We talk about Play NHRA a lot. I mean, the racers have signed documents make it very clear that if you intentionally throw a race, now, are there still ways that you could throw a race? Like, come on, who are we kidding here? Like, of course there are, right? But like Dave Connolly being out in front and having the car be perfectly right down the middle of the racetrack and then shoving the clutch pedal in for no reason at all is not really an excuse for, that Tech would have some serious questions about that. Like,
yeah,
what was wrong with the race car? Like, I don't know. It sounded weird. Like, come on.
But the why is the whole thing. And when it was first floated, there's always got to be a motive. And the motive is what? To pad Greg's lead even more over his own teammate, Dallas. Wouldn't Dallas be bummed out inside the team? Wouldn't Dallas Glenn be like, yo, man, what are you guys doing to me? Right? Like, I'm running so great. I don't know. But that's where we are with everything, right? Like the moon landing, Earth is flat.
The first elite motorsports car in points, everybody, is Aaron Stanfield, who is tied with Mason McGahey. This is not meant to be a dig on Mason McGahey, but that tells you the type of year that Elite has had, right? He's 417 points behind Greg Anderson. KB does not need to pad the points right now. Like, they reset when we leave Indy. So from that standpoint, it is what it is. It doesn't help Greg to be 900 points ahead when we leave Indianapolis because he's going to get reset anyways.
Yeah. And there you have it. So Greg Anderson, another strong victory. Yes, he's 50 up on Dallas. He's 230 up on Hartford. Hartford third in the point standings. But let's celebrate the red car for a moment. Erica Enders returning to her prominence. So she had a great weekend. They had a great weekend. Are they all the way back? Maybe they're not all the way back they're not to where Greg is, but to go to the final round, that's medicine for the soul for that team.
I would say that they had a good weekend, Joe. I don't know they had a great weekend. I think they had a good weekend. They were really good Friday and Saturday, and she was strong in round one. I think even Erica would tell you, look, round two, Corey Reed's car, they crossed the plug wires on that car is what happened. Corey specifically crossed the plug wires on his own car. So, that's
a bummer.
She's probably out in round two if Corey doesn't do that, right? Because she squared the tire at the hit and was like 9 seconds down the track. And then, she won a pedal fest with Aaron Stanfield in the semifinals. So they did struggle on race day still with application of power and clutch to racetrack. But there's no question that the cars were significantly better in performance when they went down the track. And it wasn't just Erica. Aaron Stanfield's car was much better as well. So, Elite is certainly making a positive step in the right direction. And so I say, I think even Richard and Erica would tell you that they had a good weekend. There's people that had a great weekend. They're back. She went to the finals. And I don't think that they feel that they're back. And they had a great weekend. I think there was some fortunate race day stuff that went their way. But listen, the sport is better when Erica Enders and Aaron Stanfield are competing for race wins, when Elite Motorsports is competing for race wins, when Jaggy's there, and when some of their other cars have opportunities, right? When Greg Stanfield, finally has a day where he goes some rounds. Like, we are better as a sport when Elite is competing with KB. KB's going to be the first one to tell you that. It's not good for business for KB either if Pro Stock falls apart and KB just knocks the doors off of everybody and, we lose, the McGaheys and Kenny Delco and, Brandon Miller and some of these guys that, running part-time and full-time races and whatnot. Like that's not good for anybody. Right.
Right. You were about to say Brandon Foster. You might as well just,
I started to say Brandon Foster. We lost Brandon Foster, right?
We lost,
but it's no good. What happened?
All right, let's move over to Funny Car. Let's start off with I believe it's one of your calls of an incident that occurred on track. There we go.
Pedal fest. Oh, hang on. Jack Beckman's into the wall hard. Spencer Hyde's going to the finals, and all of our eyes turned to Jack Beckman, who came across the track after it rattled the tires and slams the left side wall. The roof hatch is already open on that Peak Chevrolet as Tim Fabrizi is starting to walk that direction, and Jack Beckman climbs out the top and stands up like Superman.
What an icon.
To wave to the crowd.
Down here with Jack Beckman. Jack, obviously that was a scary moment for everybody. What was going on inside that car? Well, I'm looking at the wall. I could see exactly what was going on outside of it. It started to shake. I pedaled, and it was one of those deals where when these things shake violent enough, your vision kind of shuts down for a second. And as soon as I pedaled, it just hooked left. And you're a passenger at that point. I've seen a lot of those, and I always wondered, clearly, I'd like a redo on that, and I wouldn't have pedaled that way. But sometimes these things just do some really unpredictable stuff out there, and that was one of them. And it's a shame. That was a great race car, and that's a lot of extra work for us, especially with our first back-to-backs of the year. But we will unload our spare, which was last year's race car, so we'll be ready to go for Bristol. It's just, as a driver, this is the last thing that you want to do, and we had a car that could win the race. Struggled a little bit today, and that one, it kind of reared its head again and just lost traction. So we'll go to work.
Glad you're okay.
And we'll be back, Bruno. I'm not going to ask you for a kiss right now either.
Please don't. Please don't. Fast Jack Beckman, scary moment, right? Scary moment, Fast Jack. Now that changes the dynamic. They're going to roll out a backup car for Bristol, but a wild one, to say the least. The way it made that, it appeared to be like a slow left turn. I know that's traveling at 200 miles an hour, or at least 100 and something at that point, but just a wild one.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen a funny car, make a move like that. And, I was texting with a mutual friend of ours who was not watching live, and they were kind of following along on the live timing. They didn't realize that Jack had crashed, right? The way that I described it was it reminded me a lot of Ashley Force's incident in Seattle. Now, Ashley's incident, I think that she was maybe in the throttle a little bit longer with an extra pedal in there, but still just kind of unusual. Dave Richards last year in Seattle, another one of those moments that was, very similar. It's a Nitro funny car, and they're unpredictable, and it happens to the best of them. And I guess kudos to Jack Beckman, right? He got this far into his Nitro funny car career, without having an incident like that, and he's had some pretty big explosions, but he's, never turned the car into the wall. But I said it on the broadcast, Joe, if you drive a Nitro funny car long enough, you're going to crash a Nitro funny car. Doesn't make you a worse driver. It's just a fact of life.
Right. And that's why it's a challenge. It's a great challenge. People want to do it. First round, great challenge. Tasca out, Caps out, Austin Prock out. Just it was chaos up there. And as much as it's bad luck and occurrence for those guys, on the other lane, there was somebody who benefited, went on with a great chance, like seeing Dana Hart and those guys get an opportunity to go to the next round. That was pretty amazing. Just one of those weird days in the first round.
Yeah, it sure was one of those weird days. And, kudos, Dana Hart, Phil Burkhart and the team. It was crushing to see them not even be able to make the run in round two. Fortunately for them, it wouldn't have mattered, I don't think. That car wasn't going to run an 88, obviously. But, big weekend for Buddy Hall. Listen, lost Jim Livingston. That's Buddy's wife's grandfather, former Woodburn owner, legendary out here in this part of the country, late last week. And so for Buddy to be able to get a round one win and dedicate that to Jim, I think that was, those are the kind of days that we live for too. Funny car, right? With drag racing in general, that's why you watch the races. We've been kind of on a little bit of a lull. I think back to Chicago, and between Top Fuel and Funny Car, we had one bottom half of the ladder car get out of round one. So we were a little bit overdue for a day like that. I don't think that I thought it was going to be Sunday in Epping when the weather was what it was and the track had been what it was. And, Brittany Force is running 340 miles per hour. Like it's nothing all day
at
long.
will.
So yeah, literally at will. So, I was a little surprised that's how, Funny Car went. I think this weekend would have been the weekend I would have picked for that. If you look at the potential forecast and kind of how things are going to play out, and who knows, maybe we're in for a wacky couple of weeks here as we, start to heat up. Summer months are hard on Funny. Summer months are always harder on Funny Car than they are on Top Fuel. Always.
The wheelbase, it makes all the difference in the world. JR, we just spoke with JR. He's happy though. It was big for JR, him and Dickie and Jono to get it in. Like speaking of medicine for the soul, it has been a while since JR is in the winner's circle, and now like this fresh version of the DHL team is already got one on the board. They're not there yet with Austin and Jimmy and those guys, but they're moving in the right direction.
You were in the media center. Felt like a weight off JR's shoulders. Whether JR would say that or not, exactly whether he was starting to feel pressure, I don't know. But, JR is one of those paid drivers, right? And when you're a paid driver, even if it's not your fault, right, the team's struggling and whatnot, you start to feel it. You've got sponsors that are, that you have obligations to, and DHL, is a longtime supporter of that team, obviously, and a great partner to Coletta. But when you're a team like Coletta Motorsports, you expect to win. And when you watch your top fuel cars go out and every weekend kick the rear end out of everybody in the Mission Foods Challenge and go to the finals almost at will as an organization every week, and have 2 of the top 3 cars in points all season long, and it's got to get frustrating. I don't want to say demoralizing, but I think for J.R. Todd, that's one of those deals where how many times did he go to bed at night and just think to himself, like, man, we got to do something here. Like, this is not fun necessarily. And in the media center, J.R. is one of those guys you can kind of tell. He's just, I'm that way, right? I have a similar, in a personality. Like, you can tell when they're running hot and when they're running cold, right? And JR in the media center post race just kind of had this levity about him that I don't think I've seen in JR Todd in a long time. And I got to tell you, if you're a Nitro Funny car and you're looking at JR Todd right now, like, was it the most statistically dominant performance? No, but make no mistake, that was the best car round on race day. JR Todd won that race. That race was not handed to JR Todd. JR Todd won that event on Sunday. If Dickie Venables and JR Todd find their groove, look out. Nitro Funny car needs to, whoever races JR Todd in round 1 this weekend, their life goal needs to be to put him on the trailer so that team doesn't get some momentum going. So that car goes semifinals, finals, wins a race here this weekend, they go on a run. It's going to be a problem, a real problem for the rest of Funny car.
And for the people out there, I don't always talk about audience numbers, but we just went over 800 watching right now, and I really appreciate that. That's a good number. It's all Jason Galvin, clearly. JR was our leadoff hitter today, right? And the folks at Team Coletta he's got a fan base, and they're all sharing. They want people to see their drivers, and we appreciate that, and likes and shares, and that really helps this show for people to subscribe to the podcast and all. We just want the fight to be more intense. And more intense fight. Like Tasca said, we're going to get back into it, and everybody's going to get back into it. Why shouldn't the Coletta Motorsports fans have their guy in there? And you race, I race a little, like on the Lucas Oil Series side of thing. You don't go there to not win. Like, it's fun to be there, but they're JR Todd. Like, he's flying, he's going, he's working, he's getting paid, he's going to win. He's a champion. So if you're not winning, it's kind of hard to be happy. Like, I would imagine, like, hey, I'm happy that I'm not winning. No. You want to win. There's nothing more clear than the drag racer who's been eliminated on the starting line. The body language is down. You could see they're aggravated. It's terrible. But then the winning drag racer, you can tell them too. Like Brittany Force, who was on the show, very happy, normalizing 340, the fastest female on 4 wheels.
Yeah, man, Brittany Force. Is that the most impressive performance you've ever seen on Sunday in Top Fuel, Joe? Like, in person?
Well, the 339, 90 something average, all in the run 69, 68,
98.
That's crazy.
Like, she was 0.2 of a mile per hour on any singular run from having a 340 mile per hour average on race day.
Something where we really don't do. That's not something we really think about.
I don't think Joe or I have ever left the racetrack and thought, I wonder what so-and-so's average speed in race day was today.
Nobody does that. It's not a thing until now. Now it's a thing.
Pete Richards, producer Pete, right? NHRA Fox team, who produced the Sunday show, was the one who sent that note in our group. And I think that's the first time that I thought about it. I looked at that and went, man, that's impressive. 300 to the 8th, which Doug also did in round 1. And I saw somebody make a comment somewhere. Yes, I missed it. I think
it's not really a thing, though. Let's hold on. Stop attacking Galvin. It's not a stat. It's just a stat because it had never happened. It's now happened a bunch of times. We really don't talk 8th mile speeds and ETs. It's not like part of the deal. If it was, it'd be on the scoreboard. But since we put up the bonus fund, thanks to the folks at Phillips Connect a couple of times, it became a big deal. But every 300 to the 8th, like now, I don't want to say it's waning, but it's waning a little.
I agree.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven.
Thank you. And that was kind of my thought on it too. 300 to the 8th was amazing when it happened, but we've now had 5 drivers do it. I think to me at this point it's really only a thing when somebody does it for the first time. Like the first time Tony Stewart runs 300 to the 8th. Okay, Tony Stewart's ran 300 to the 8th, and even that's not going to be like stop the presses, right? It'll just be a point of note. I think more than anything, what it is a signification of how good your car's running. You're going to make your top fuel car run 300 miles per hour to the 8th mile. I mean, that thing's humming, right? And it's not always necessarily a harbinger of top end speed. A lot of things happen down track or whatnot. I thought the most impressive thing about Brittany all weekend too, Joe, not just the ETs, not just 340 plus multiple times, but that car, I don't think it ran to 8 cylinders to the finish line once the whole weekend. Even John Collins made a comment to you about when it ran, the second fastest run of all time in the semifinals. We've been dropping cylinders and we finally got it to run to the finish line. And I joked coming out of it, I go, actually, John, I have bad news. It didn't. They put one out, it was 950 feet. And at that point, the bet is made, so to speak. But still, the point is, like, there's more. I don't know that Brittany Force made a perfect run all weekend, and she nearly averaged 340 miles per hour on race day. And more importantly, and I brought this up in post-race with Brittany in the media center, Brittany drove a good race. She was a little late in the semifinals against Doug Coletta. She was 99, right? But if you throw the 99 out of there, Brittany Force had an average reaction time that was in the 70s. When David Grumnick's on his game and that car is running like that, 70s will win you a lot of races. Brittany Force won 2 world championships being in the 70s. She's never going to be Justin Ashley. I think Brittany Force will tell you she's never going to be Justin Ashley. Also, neither is Doug, Tony, Antron. Like Sean.
Tony's trying to be, man. Tony's trying to be with that 49. He's like,
the important thing for Tony, I think, is like Tony gets up for rounds that really, like when the spotlight is on, Tony Stewart does what you would expect a world champion to do, right? Like, go look at Tony Stewart. Round 1, Rip Bastari. He's 87 on the tree. All you needed to be, right? That round was going to come down to whether Tony's car went down the track or not. Round 2 against Justin Ashley is 64. I bet Tony Stewart was mad about that because last week he was 48, right? Semifinals, Antron, world champion in the other lane, 54. Final round, Brittany in the other lane. Tony Stewart's 049. Like, Tony Stewart almost stole that race. He went 372 in the final, ended up being a great drag race. And because Tony was 049, like, Brittany was 68 on the tree, almost went 369, 340, and still almost lost in a whole shot because Tony really brought it. So you're right. Tony's, that's been like a very underrated part of this run that team is on, is the Neil Strasbaugh and Mike Domagala have found their groove, but so is Tony Stewart. And that car is legitimately the points leader. Like, we need to stop talking about, like, hey, Tony Stewart's the points leader. Like, how long will he be here or whatever? No. That car's the points leader. Legitimately the points leader. Dominant race car over the last 5 races. Best car in Top Fuel, Tony Stewart. It's been 5 consecutive final rounds. You do not back your way into 5 consecutive final rounds. You just
has made the final round in all but 2 races. Like, we could have a little fun with the way we say it, the semantics of the deal, but 5 consecutive finals with 2 wins in those 5, extended his points lead. Obviously, Sean went out early and the way things fell, but long way to go. And we're going to Bristol this weekend. It's going to be great. Let's talk about the rest of the winners. Is there anything you wanted to mention before we move on? Doug Coletta, Jack Beckman, Hartford win the 2 Fast 2 Tasties. Anything you want to mention or put out there before we move on?
Not about Epping, other than I thought it was one of the most enjoyable Sundays that I've ever had at the drag.
Clearly. Oh yeah, no, that's one of the best race days that we've ever had. It's argued, put it in the file for great race days, like the upsets and the speed records and Tony versus Brittany. Like, to me, that's one that I just want to keep hammering home because it's worlds colliding. 10 years ago, the idea of Brittany Force and Tony Stewart racing each other for something of consequence doesn't exist in the world. Right. Like, it doesn't happen. And it's now happening. It's a new thing. Worlds are colliding. And if you're a casual viewer out there, like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense, except it is in the NHRA. So it's good stuff. Let's talk about everybody else. Comp Eliminator, Joe Carnisciali wins. Shane Oaks, Super Stock. Bob Letellier, big win, very emotional. Stock Eliminator. Super Comp, Rick Rollinson, last win, 94 divisional race. Way to go, Rick. Mike Handress, Super Gas. Pat Smith, Super Street. He was super happy. Matt Harper goes back-to-back in Top Sportsman. Top Dragster was Al Stafari, who said it makes up for a loss at the 5-day bracket race of Moroso in like 2005 or something. This makes up for that.
Things, Joe.
He shook his fist at Jeggy. It was great.
The sportsman winners were cool. And Mike Handress finally broke through in Super Gas, right? The stock final round was really cool. I know Mike Farrell lost, but Mike Farrell had a grandbaby 3 hours before the final there. Almost went out and won the race, right? You talked about, Rollinson's first win since a divisional in 94. For Letellier, it's his first win since I think it was 01 in Reading, if I remember correctly.
21 years, he said. He kept saying 21 years. He was just walking around in a circle down there. He's like 21 years. Maybe like that's amazing.
Yeah.
The emotion.
So what I love about Epping is that we usually get a kind of different cast of characters in the Lucas Oil Series. And people in New England love their drag racing, Joe. That's my takeaway every time I go to New England. People in New England love drag racing. Like genuinely love drag racing. They live it, breathe it. They love it. They understand it. We ran Lucas Oil cars in between semis and finals of Mission Foods action. And, there was a conversation for a brief moment about, do we put them on hold and, rush the nitro cars back up here and run pro stock behind them, whatever. And somebody stopped and waved at the grandstands. And we were rolling, I think Top Drags might have been the first class out. And look at the grandstands. 80% of the people in the stands didn't go back to watch the Top Fuel cars turn for the final. They're sitting here watching Lucas Oil cars, call another category. And we'll just run, the pro finals on the normal schedule. And I thought that was a great call out of race control because we ran, 3 or 4 categories there of sportsmen in between the semis and finals of the mission action. The place is packed, man.
Yeah, they love it. Well, look, you got Lone, Seth Noble, young Seth Noble helping us out, 17 years old, doing a great job. It's an incubator for drag racing. So is Maple Grove. The old school East Coast tracks that have been there the longest have the most diehard following. The thing about New England, it's a bummer that it's hard to get there. And so a lot of people elect to not get there. And unfortunately for them, it's their loss. They forego so many fans, people just hey, I had people mention Project Pontiac 100 times. How do you know? How do you know? Well, no, we're following it. We're following the story. You're following the story of Project Pontiac up here in New England. Wow.
I had a couple fans come up and say, I think I shared some of them with you, and they don't need to, it's not a thing that needs to go out here, but just some of the nice things that they said to me. And, one of the fans literally stopped me in my tracks. One of the things they said to me, and I thought, wow, that's, just about what we're doing as a team and whatnot. And it was one of those moments where I had to stop and think to myself, first up, we're in the far northeast part of the country. I couldn't be from farther away, right? I'm in Southern California. Geographically, I'm clear on the other end of a giant map, right? And people up here are watching what you and I are doing. It's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Very cool. Okay, Bristol this weekend. Couple people. Yeah, all right. That's in the rearview mirror. Forget it. We're moving forward. Bristol. Julie Natus going to make her debut in Dell's funny car. That's kind of cool. And everything else, right? Jack, they're going to get the backup car out, and here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. Bristol's it's always a great drag race. Speaking of raucous crowds, right? Bristol, doesn't get much better than Bristol on Friday and Saturday evening. That they'll pack that place. The acoustics, the sounds. It's the most visually striking track on the tour, especially now that Vandermeer's gone. There's not even a conversation, I don't feel like. It's a track that, again, has been there for a long time and has a lot of history, not just in NHRA, but before. And you mentioned Julie. Del Worsham is going into the Legends of Thunder Valley this weekend, and he's going to roll out a new driver in Nitro Funny Car. And yes, Julie made a top fuel start last year, and she's an A-Fuel world champion. Funny Car is totally a different thing. But let me tell you, anybody who's been following Julie Natus, she's driven that car really well. It took her a little bit to get her license because she kept running into weather, and then the car would, smoke the tires, drop a cylinder, and they'd shut it off, rightfully so. But Julie has really, when that car has done what it's supposed to do, I understand it's a funny car. It's not always going to do what it's supposed to do, right? But she's not looked out of place in the slightest bit. So I think I've had some people really, a funny car? What would she know about a funny car? I think Julie Natus, that's a sleeper this weekend for somebody who could really do some damage. That car runs really well. Bobby Bodie's driven it very well this year. And would it shock you if Julie went out there and went to round 2 of the semifinals? Wouldn't shock me. The car went to the final round last year with a Lexus in it. That's a car that has a lot of really positive history at that racetrack.
Absolutely. And especially drivers that are on their core programming early in their career, just, doing the basics can sometimes catch lightning in a bottle. Jason, thank you very much for joining us on WFO Radio. I appreciate it. Nice little debrief session, and we'll get to do it again next week as we are going to the Supergrip Thunder Valley Nationals. I know you love it up there, as do I. Hopefully all our fans will come out, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun weekend, and stop and say hi if you guys are out there.
There you go. There you go. Jason Galvin with us here on WFO Radio. Way to go, Jason. Excellent work. It was amazing. We go to these tracks and, the drivers are the stars, right? The people, in this case, New England Dragway, were very up on NHRA TV. They were subscribers to NHRA TV. They got the jokes. They understood what was going on and the way that, we pick back and forth at each other and have a good time. And, a lot of people mentioned Alan. They were like, man, but also excited about the way things were going. And by the way, Alan, I saw him on Saturday night at the Scott Coletta, Eddie's Lobster Fest. And it was great to see Alan as well. It was awesome stuff. All right, guys, final thoughts. Put your final thoughts in the comment section, and then we're going to get out of here. But it's been an amazing show, and we've got a massive audience. And so to the massive audience, I will say this. We do this show every week. WFO Radio is expanding. We have, for the very first time, taken on another show that is not hosted by me. Each week, I do Ignition, which is an audio-only podcast that is, let's just call it free form, right? Maybe even a BS session about all motorsports. We'll talk about a little Formula One. We'll talk about NHRA drag racing. We'll talk divisional racing. We'll talk about Project Pontiac. We'll talk about, what's going on with Sue Morris or Dragster Jeff or all of the cast of characters that we have from around the world. But it is audio only. If you are a WFO Patreon, you can see the video to that, but that's a different level, VIP level Patreons. But on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Life's a Drag with Jason Logan and Elon Werner are a second show that is not this show on WFO Radio. And they bring it in a totally different way. It's really about the circus of NHRA drag racing and the behind the scenes. And they're talking, it's a personality show of people that are involved in the profession of drag racing. And I know you're going to love it. And I love it already. But subscribe, click the bell, write us a review wherever you get your podcast or right here on YouTube. Many of you watch on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. A lot of ways to get WFO Radio. Spotify, SoundCloud, and you'll get Life's a Drag as well. You'll get this show. We'll have the winners again next week as best as we can. And a lot of interesting things going on. Now, it happens because we have great sponsors. You can also watch the shows, by the way, on PowerTube TV. That's right. PowerTube TV is a place to watch WFO Radio if you want to do it. I'm going to start sending them Life's a Drag and just not tell them and see if they just start posting it. That's my plan, right? We'll see how it all goes. But we do have our great sponsors, the people who make it possible, like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Have you ever thought of driving a dragster? Not like going out and get your top fuel license. I mean, just driving a dragster one day with Frank. They have a day trip. It's called the Dragster Adventure. And it's for you and your buddies to go out and drive dragsters instead of going to Topgolf one day. It's a little more expensive, but it's a lot cooler. Go to frankhawley.com. Find out. You show up with just the clothes on your back. You show up with nothing, no responsibility. They outfit you with everything. They put you in dragsters and you go out there and run up and down the track, just up the track. And they can even set up a race. Like if you want to do it with your clients or your sales team, however you want to do it, Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. And I just want to mention everybody that supports us. Of course, our Patreons, our VIP listener club, patreon.com/WFO Radio, all kinds of special and unique content for the WFO listeners, including Hear It From Heiner, the Pro Stock Crew Chief show. We've got a real Pro Stock crew chief that wins races that's given us details on what happened with their race, how to set up the car, how to tune the car, the ins and outs of what's going on in Pro Stock. It's worth it to become a Patreon right there. And you set your price on Patreon, guys. Shout out to Michael Scott from Right Trailers for supporting WFO Radio 833-31-RIGHT. 833-31-RIGHT. If you need a trailer nationwide, check out Michael Scott's Right Trailers. WFO swag, gear, the fire gear, WFO sweatshirts, hoodies, mugs, everything, including fire jet car shirt, plus Project Pontiac gear is all available in our WFO store on the website. And I tweet it out in the chat section every time on every show. If you don't have a can of Fog-It in your house, you really should. It's a great multi-purpose spray, but it was originally designed to protect the inside of high-performance racing engines. The very finely honed cylinder finish can become damaged without protection. Condensation at the end of a race day. You fog it down and protect it. And if you're going to winterize your car, you must have Foggit, Foggit, available at summit-racingequipment.com. Bernie's Speed Shop, HusseyPerformance.net, Redline Synthetic Oil. Thank you so much, Redline, for being on board. If you got a BMW, their gear oil is top-notch. Their transmission fluid, their synthetic motor oil. But if you're just a regular person, you want to add a bottle of water wetter to your cooling system, you'll see great results. Redline Synthetic Oil, CWT Industries, Randy Neal's Balance Machine Company, and of course, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, Jesse Converters, and their DPF X-Fit brand, OE replacements for tractor trailers and diesels, and Total Seal piston rings, which Total Seal, Hartford, third in the point standings, looking really good. The John DeFlorian stuff. Wins the Never Rest Performer of the Race. Like the whole world teamed up. John was out on the highway. Brett Kepner gave me a minute by minute of what went down with John DeFlorian. And that's why he won the Never Rest Performer of the Race. Thank you, Brian Loans, for sharing that with us so we could absolutely get it right. We got a lot of people helping us out. And one more thing before we get to your comments, guys. This is all a stall for your comments. It's a stall. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to shout out to someone. We all know about Project Pontiac, hopefully. The WFO build project, Project Pontiac. But it didn't happen on accident. It happened with a lot of hard work from a lot of great people. And one of those people is my friend Rick McDonough, a very knowledgeable guy. This is his Top Sportsman truck. When I started to go back down the road of running, or go down the road for the first time of running Lucas Oil Series races, I went to my friend Corey Kramer, and I went to my friend Rick McDonough, and I said, you guys should do this too. You should do this too. It's a good schedule. We've lost our home track. We don't have Moroso anymore. We don't have Miami Hollywood. We got nowhere to go. It's not like you're going to go bracket racing every weekend anymore. So instead, do the Lucas Oil schedule. And you know what it is and where it's going to be, and you got to tow a little further, a couple of fewer times. And Corey was into it immediately and talked to my friend Rick. He didn't even have a car at the time. He went out and bought this truck. He helped me build everything on Project Pontiac. This past weekend, I could not be at South Georgia Motorsports Park because I was in New England, going to work. And I'm blessed that that's my work, right? I get to go to an amazing Mission Food Series race. But all my friends were at South Georgia Motorsports Park. I get a text, 4:00 Sunday, bang. Rick McDonough, winner's circle, top sportsman. This guy is holding the Wally. He and his crew chief Juan got it done. And man, the sad thing is the first thing I wanted to do was text my dad. I wanted to text my dad, Dad, Rick won, but Dad is, you know the story there. And I who do I tell? And there's nobody. I just had to just be happy, which I figured it out after a few minutes, how to just be happy. But my buddy Rick, man, this guy is extremely knowledgeable. He's a great racer, and he's got himself a Wally, and he got it done. And he's on NHRA.com. And congratulations to everybody else who did well at South Georgia Motorsports Park. Amazing stuff. Let's see what everybody's got to say as we get ready to roll on out of here. Hey, Joe, you haven't even touched on Ida's weekend. Very impressive. Yes, Ida Zetterstrom did very well coming back from her time. Well, we gave her a lot of pointers on the broadcast team. No, Ida was awesome. Seth Noble, very impressive. More distinctive character than some longtime announcers. He did. The kid was making some jokes, but not too much. You can overdo it with the humor. Scott says, don't make me subscribe to Prime. Talking about the new TV deal. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a deep dive. If Netflix or Prime come calling for NHRA, I think we should listen. I don't know. I don't know what to say beyond that. From what everyone is telling me about the Prime coverage of NASCAR, they're saying it's the best thing. I haven't seen it yet. They're saying it's the best thing that's ever happened since sliced bread. So we'll have to see. Scott also said great ignition show. The sports collision was amazing. Monica says great interviews today. Will we have Pro Stock Motorcycle back in Bristol? Yes, we will. Matt Smith was part of the press conference. I'm excited to watch NHRA TV this weekend, as am I. To be a part of it. All right, guys, thank you very much. WFO Radio here every week. A lot of shows in that archive. If you're new to the show, you can go back and see Tony Stewart. You can see Brittany Force again. You can see Randy Couture. You can see just everything. We got a bunch of them. We have a little fun every now and again, too. It's not all serious business. the Ignition audio-only podcast. I don't promote it a lot because the stuff I say on there is often controversial and maybe detrimental to my, everything. But we say it anyway. It's audio only. We have a great time. Got a lot of racers, a lot of Lucas Oil Series racers that check in and just listen over the road. If you're going to spend more than 3 hours in the car, you're going to go on a flight. Check out Ignition. Everybody's got an angle, certainly. It was one of the wildest first rounds of Funny Car ever. Yeah, it really was. And how about Bob Tasca coming upstairs after a first round out at his home track, being a part of the next round, the show that we are now doing between first round and second round in the finals. Sean Reed also came up, told the story of Tony Pedregon trying very hard to accelerate out of my grasp on a golf cart and escape me and not give me a ride to the tower. Now, he didn't know about any of that while it was happening. But Sean Reed witnessed it. I turned on the jets, something I rarely ever do. But I had to show my speed. I'm feeling it. Oh, I'm still feeling it. Yeah, you don't get to a certain age and just full sprint acceleration out of nowhere without feeling it a little bit. Just a little. All you kids out there, I could take you. I'm not ready for Antron Brown or anything, but I got the Jets, baby. Don't forget, not the New York Jets. Life's a Drag, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday. Don't miss it. Thanks to JR, thanks to Britt, thanks to Galvin, and thanks to Greg Anderson. WFO, guys.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.